All right, let's jump into the first story. We have this from 12news.com. Lake's expert witness. Misprinted ballots would ultimately have been counted. Lake's team alleged that a ballot sizing misprint disrupted the election, but Lake hired analyst Clay Parikh says the ballots would have been counted in the end. I'm going to pause right there and say that is a gross mischaracterization of what the witness actually said. Do you agree, Shane?
I agree. It's just like how they said she lost the lawsuit by having 8 things dismissed, but 2 going forward.
Let me read a little bit of this, and then we'll explain. They say Kari Lake has 2 days to convince the Maricopa County Superior Court that her election loss was caused by outside interference. On the first day of the trial, an information security officer hired by Lake's team said that misprinted ballots would have been duplicated and counted. No, he didn't. He did not say that. Lake needs to prove that a specific Maricopa County employee interfered with ballot printers and that lost enough votes to cost her the election. She also needs to prove that alleged ballot drop-offs cost her the elections. Lake's legal team originally planned to call Katie Hobbs as a witness. Lake even boasted that Katie Hobbs will take the witness stand. All right, let me just break down for you what he actually said. He said that he inspected ballots. They were allowed to inspect, I think it was like 50 ballot demands, mail-in ballots, and standard ballots or whatever, and that he looked at 14 of which were, 14 duplicates?
Yeah.
And that the 15th was torn.
Right.
So, all right, so then they said, I think these duplicates, were these the ones that were 19-inch on 20-inch paper, or was that?
I think he said most of them were 19-inch on 20-inch paper, yeah.
So that's a separate issue, but here's ultimately what I want to bring up with this so we can start getting into it. He said the only way that the image could have been altered, I got to slow down because this is how they get
intricate.
It's right. So you got a 20-inch image that fits on a sheet of paper. For some reason, these ballots were printed at 19 inches, but on the same size paper, a 20-inch piece of paper, meaning when the ballot printer was trying to read it, nothing was in the right place. So it doesn't read it, it rejects it. What happens then is people place them in box number 3, and then when they're trying to count them, they duplicate that ballot. What he actually said was the originals were missing, that a duplicate existed with no original to account for it. Then Katie Hobbs' lawyer, it was Maricopa County, not Katie Hobbs. Maricopa County's lawyer comes up and says, if a ballot is duplicated, does it get counted? And he goes, that wouldn't be possible. And he's like, I'm asking you, would it be counted? And he's like, that's not technically possible. What the witness was saying is the only way this error could have occurred, it was not an error. The only way this misprint could have occurred is if someone bypassed security and intentionally went in and altered the printing mechanism. Therefore, in this instance, it's not possible for you to actually have that duplicate ballot made and then counted. So now you get the media coming out and saying, well, Kari Lake is saying that they would have been counted and there's no issue here. My bet, the judge is going to come back out using this narrative that they're creating and say, there's no evidence of anything and, sorry, there's no intent, therefore, case dismissed.
The defense sets up a soundbite that sounds good in the news. The news runs with it. All the nuance is lost. And because there's a ton of nuance leading up to all that. And they set up a witness to say, I think it was our first witness that said it's impossible we didn't have any 19-inch ballots in this election, not at all. And then they obviously teed it up for that, bombshell, I thought.
He basically said the only way for there to be a 19-inch ballot image on a 20-inch piece of paper is if someone either manipulated the printers themselves, bypassing security, or manipulated the software, entering passwords or bypassing security. So it could not have been an accident. Yep. What was really frustrating to me about watching this trial is that the Maricopa County lawyers and Katie Hobbs' team or whatever, they're doing these questions where they're like, so Luke, when did you stop beating your wife? It's a simple question. Did you stop beating your wife yesterday? Yes or no? And you're like, well, how do I answer that? And then the judge goes, look, it's a yes or no question. Answer it. If you don't understand, say I don't understand. And then they're forcing the witnesses to claim they don't understand because otherwise it's a question that draws a conclusion.
Yeah, I saw it as them asking them to prove the existence of God in front of everybody because it wasn't simple. It was a lot of nuance and things going on. Like you were saying, it's so intricate how all these things were happening, and you can't just say yes or no. And it also proves just how convoluted the chain of custody really is. They're very reluctance to say yes or no proves that to me at least.
What really frustrates me is that they didn't do witness training. Kari Lake's team. You have the witness and you explain to them, the opposing lawyers are going to try to trick you. I mean, Kyle, you know all about this.
Absolutely. They're going to try to get you to go down this rabbit hole and they're going to phrase things in a way that yes or no, either way you answer it, it's going to sound bad no matter what. And that's what they do. That's why it's important for them to ask, hey, can you please rephrase that question in another way that I can understand it? It doesn't sound it sounds a lot better if you ask them to rephrase it.
But that's the crazy thing. I mean, I feel like the judge should be yelling at these lawyers. Like, you go up and you say something like, did you stop beating your wife yesterday or the day before? Yeah, pick one. Which one is it? You're like, what? I don't beat my wife.
Right.
It's like, that's not responsive. That's not what I asked you.
Yep.
That's crazy.
The judge was getting impatient. I mean, there was a certain point where it was Hobbs's attorney standing up, constantly objecting on grounds of foundation and speculation. And then they were like, it's all speculation. Like, this is what we're here for, literally.
Yeah.
Is that not considered leading the witness when you ask him a question with two pointed answers that neither of which are accurate?
I think that's a little different when you're like, I don't really know, but I think it's when you're questioning, expecting a certain thing, like you're leading them down a path, and speculation is more just like the theory behind it. I could be wrong, but like that's because they did get called out earlier for leading the witness at one point. But the speculation was just like because it was based on theory, I guess.
There was a lot more as well. Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had a witness testify that 298,000 ballots had no chain of custody.
I think that's what they said. Yeah, between like the drop-offs and I guess I forget. Runback, right? Which I tried to get into yesterday. They refused.
You tried to go there.
I was there. I stood outside. I was trying. I watched the sunrise over that place.
Wow.
It's like a walled-off city right by the airport. It's a weird place.
So this witness testifies that Runback employees were bragging about the perk of being able to bring ballots into their job outside of chain of custody and have them be counted. And the craziest thing is not only that, but that there's supposed to be a chain of custody receipt every step of the way. And there's like 3 chain of custody receipts, and there's one missing. And they don't know where these ballots came from or what happened. They just basically they go from the polling from the voting center. Then there's no receipt. Then they leave the voting center. And they pointed out that I think it was it Richer who tweeted out more than 275,000 ballots came in.
Plus, yeah.
And then later said it was 298,000. So she said, obviously it's a round number, so it's not the exact number.
Right.
But then with no chain of custody, he's basically said one number and then added an additional 22,000, 23,000 ballots.
Yep.
But without a receipt, we can't track where those ballots came from. The craziest thing is in the trial, they're basically like, yes, we understand. But can you prove anyone intended to break the law?
Right. And Maricopa, I think it was Maricopa, it was Lindy, who's tried being like, so we make sure this is clear, it's not illegal for the ballot harvesting to get in to this. And she came back with a pretty great response. She was like, it's not unlawful, it's invalid. She was like, that's the proper terminology. So we're all hanging out, and I've got the live stream going while we're trying to eat dinner. And it was the Maricopa lawyer, I believe. Lindy, yeah.
Lindy. He comes out and he's like, would it surprise you to learn that if someone brings in a ballot illegally, the ballot itself is not illegal? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, if you enter in a vote into the system in less than legal means, you may have committed a crime, but the ballot itself can still be counted. Or it's not illegal. And then she goes, I believe that's called an invalid ballot.
She was really good.
This is crazy,
I
man.
was really impressed with that.
The corporate media's take on this is pretty interesting because I just typed in Kari Lake into the news that's happening on Brave, and the first 2 articles that are popping up, Talking Points Memo is number 1, and it says, Kari Lake, big lie circus comes to court. The second article is by Newsweek on MSN saying, Kari Lake election trial married with embarrassing mishaps. So obviously, I mean, this court proceeding is still going on. There's going to be another court date tomorrow. Robert Barnes has a different perspective on this. He just tweeted a couple of minutes ago, Kari Lake proved everything she needed to today to win her election contest. That's what Barnes is saying. What's going to be the decision here? It's going to be interesting because I think in 1994, there was a state Senate election that was overturned by a judge after there was illegal ballot harvesting that was ruled by him, specifically in the state election there. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but this is a very interesting court trial that I think a lot of people have different perspectives on, depending on where they're coming from politically.
Am I pessimistic to say I think the judge is going to throw it out?
Yeah. That's a form of pessimism. Yeah.
You're right.
I think it's going to be. Yeah, I do have hope because I think Barnes is onto something because I was impressed by, not impressed, disgusted by the, impressed and disgusted by the like lack of security the one witness was saying the ballots were kept in.
I was losing it because the first witness, this guy, Clay, he said the ballots were not properly sealed. They had no security seal on the boxes, just a piece of red tape. And then the defense witness, so this is basically Katie Hobbs in Maricopa County, goes, was the box sealed? And he goes, there was no security seal on it. And he goes, yes or no question, was the box sealed? And he was like, it was a piece of red tape. Yes or no, was the box sealed? And he's like, I don't understand. It's like, dude, this really frustrated me. Clay, the answer is no. The box is not sealed. They're playing a semantic game. They're arguing the colloquial definition in a legal context. Don't take the bait. If you come to me and say, they could have wrapped that box with saran wrap. Was the box sealed? No. But wasn't it surrounded with saran wrap? Well, that's not a legal seal. So no, it wasn't sealed. They're trying to trick you because to the average person, taping something shut is sealing it shut.
Right.
That's the manipulation they kept doing. It's so frustrating.
They're going to show just those 3 seconds on the local news, and then that's what your parents are going to believe, and that's it.
And what they do is they're going to show that clip, then they're going to give false context, saying despite acknowledging the boxes were sealed, Kari Lake's witness refused to acknowledge to the court that it was sealed. Yeah. They cut out the part where he said they have tamper-evident seals that they put on boxes that you can't remove without evidence of tampering. They did not have that.
They were also like, the defense team was just, I don't want to say they were scrambling, but it was obviously they had a different strategy. Like it was like we're going to be forceful in trying to discredit these people as quick as possible, right? Where there's like, they're set up with nuance clearly with the plaintiffs, and then they just get, like a hatchet to the head after that. And I'm like, they were so condescending. This might be just too personal, but I couldn't sit next to these people. I was sitting next to the defense team most of the time. They're just laughing, like at all these different times, like the attorney would talk. Like it was like a very condescending thing. I'm like, let's have a little decorum here for people. Like it's like when someone mispronounces a word and someone laughs at it. It's like there's no point to that to me. It's like you're just being rude for the sake of being rude. And they also have like just a giant team. It's like when you look at a pop song and there's like 30 people wrote it, and you look at the other, like a rock song, there's like 2 people who wrote it. That's what I felt like I was up against in this small courtroom.
In order to bring the truth or at least transparency on this, do you just find it was on video? Was this court case on video?
Oh yeah,
so
I'm watching live.
You find like specific little clips, cut them out, put them on Twitter, make them go viral. Is that the way to move forward?
Let me
maybe.
I just want to stress, okay. I don't want to talk about you, Oliver Darcy, but we're going to talk about you. He tweeted out, and there was another journalist who did. He was like, Donnie O'Sullivan of CNN may have had his suspension lifted, but he can't come back on Twitter unless he deletes the tweet. And it's just everybody, in the anti-establishment, anti-woke was like, yo, did the lead media reporter for CNN just learn right now how getting suspended on Twitter works? Another journalist tweeted this today saying Donnie O'Sullivan remains locked out. They're telling him he must delete a tweet. And I'm like, this is how it's been for like a decade. And they don't know this? So the challenge is you've got a combination of ineptitude and willful manipulation from the corporate press. When we're on stage at America Fest with TPUSA, and Charlie Kirk goes, we just got breaking news. Kari Lake's election challenge is going to trial. The whole crowd goes, wow, they're all screaming and cheering. Then I'm like, I got to pull this up. I pull up the story from the local Fox outlet. It says judge dismisses most of Kari Lake's lawsuit. And I'm like, what? But she's going to trial. Why isn't that the headline? That's huge that they got passed a motion to dismiss. Yeah. Again, I'm just going to say I'm pessimistic. The way I'm hearing this judge, he's like, it does seem like he's getting frustrated with the defense attorneys as well. But I'm just kind of like, I think this dude is acting like, I'm giving them a fair chance. Yeah. And then he's going to come back and say, well, you didn't prove there was any intent. Therefore, you're gone.
That's how I feel. He's offering leniency in places where I didn't think he'd give leniency. Like the plaintiffs aren't perfect. Like they've definitely like screwed up a few things here and there and a little forgetful. That one guy is like Big Lebowski in a suit. Yeah. I enjoy watching him because he just has funny phrases.
The guy with the long hair.
Yeah, I like him. But I don't think either side is fully prepared just because they had like such a short notice. So you can see like there's a lot of scrambling and discombobulation behind the scenes. You can probably see a lot of it on the live stream as well. But
yep.
But yeah,
they couldn't upload the voicemail recording, and so the judge was like, we're not going to play it, and it's like, how are we supposed to get you this file in like a day? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a mess.
Hopefully, I think people stay positive and optimistic about it because that'll generate the energy needed to continue to post clips about it and to spread them around.
You know what's funny though? I talked to a lot since I was there so early. I was talking to just like people who work there who literally aren't engaged in politics at all, and just asking them what they thought. And most of them are so disengaged from it altogether. They just, I don't want to say they're like they've given up. They just don't care, and it's like in their very workplace. It's like whatever.
That's crazy. And I'm also, a lot of these judges, so many, are just so far removed from everything. And to an extent, they're supposed to be. The judge is supposed to be like, okay, present to me the facts, and then we'll go through it.
Yeah.
But what I think we end up seeing with so many judges, and not just this case, but basically across the board with everything, is they're thinking to themselves, look, I don't know anything about this stuff. I don't want to be involved in this stuff. This case is so political. Everyone's going to get mad at me. I'm just going to tell them no and get out of my courtroom. And so they end up just saying, get out, don't care, don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, that's a weak judge then.
And that's too many of them.
Yeah.
I based on what I've heard already in this testimony, I will say a few things. A witness saying there is no chain of custody is not definitive proof there is no chain of custody. It is a statement of fact sworn under oath, and now there must be, the courts must seek to confirm, was chain of custody broken? That is an illegal action. If the person tasked with maintaining chain of custody willfully did not do that, then you've got intent. And what they're arguing, though, is what people have called it is nonfeasance as opposed to malfeasance. If I was a judge, I'd be like, get out of my face. If you're a barista at my coffee shop and you walk in wearing your uniform and I say, you're going to stand here at the register. When that person hands you a $10 bill, you will punch in their order, put the money in the register, give them their change. And they go, you got it. Then the person walks up and they go, I'm not doing that. That is an intentional act to defy. So if you have a election official and they are legally told, you're going to be here. Okay, I'm standing here. Okay, now you're going to count the ballots. Okay, I'm going to count the ballots. You're going to fill out this form. Okay, I'm going to fill out the form. Okay, now do it. No. They intentionally chose to break the law. Based on that, will the judge agree? I don't know. So in my opinion, I don't know exactly how you rectify this, because if you've got a witness saying chain of custody was broken on nearly 300,000 ballots, that of course goes over the margin of victory, which is 17,000. And then you had the last witness. They tried getting him. They said, do you have evidence that the vote would have, if these errors, if the tabulators didn't break, the election outcome would be different. Dude actually said the margin of victory was 17,000 votes. I am convinced that if the machine's working properly, Kari Lake would be governor.
They didn't like that.
No, they did not. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.